Disney desperately needs Marvel's Fantastic Four First Steps to be a smash hit. Unfortunately for them, the public antics of its star Pedro Pascal is rapidly turning him into the next Rachel Zegler, causing many to worry that he could help pull a Snow White on the MCU. Could he? Let's find out. This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Pedro Pascal has become a very well-known face as of late. Some may argue he's even getting a tad overexposed, which is arguably not a great place to be if one plans on making repeat and incendiary statements that may well be virtuous within Hollywood's ideological echo chamber, but which may be viewed somewhat differently in the rest of the world. A number of other actors have done this in the past, of course, and quite a few times this personal activism has contributed to would-be blockbusters ending up getting derailed. One of the more recent examples here is Rachel Zegler, star of Snow White, who in her defense initially didn't say anything that didn't come straight from the production team, because they were indeed making an activist movie for the non-existent modern audience.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is...
She's not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
See there, Gal Gadot chimed in as well, saying the exact same thing. Where Zegler went wrong, however, was in mixing her personal activism in with the promotion of the movie, prompting Disney executives to travel across the country to make her knock it off. Of course, in being an activist remake, Snow White was always going to underperform no matter what. But Rachel Zegler making herself toxic in the eyes of the public very likely made matters much, much worse than they otherwise would have been. Now, as we're about to see here, Pedro Pascal is doing the same thing, only he is putting something far more important to Disney on the line than a one-off movie. And he even traveled to the Cannes Festival in France to do it. Traveling is incidentally something I do a fair bit of myself, and when I do, I use Surfshark VPN, both to protect my data and to secure constant access, even to geo-blocked websites and platforms, no matter my physical location. A VPN, or virtual private network, is a privacy protection tool which encrypts your online data and secures your personal information, even when you're on a free public Wi-Fi, which is a goldmine for anyone wanting your data. As a frequent flyer, this security is of particular importance to me. With Surfshark, I can get Instagram music wherever I am, all while relaxing, knowing that Surfshark masks my IP address so that my exact location, download history, and other data isn't linked to my personal ID, while their clean web feature blocks trackers, malware, and phishing attempts, thus enabling safe surfing, especially since Surfshark themselves don't track or store what I do online, because unlike some other popular VPN providers, Surfshark has no activity log. Surfshark also allows access to regionally blocked websites. In France, for instance, Rumble is blocked, so whenever I'm there, I need Surfshark just to set up a stream. You see, Surfshark enables you to bypass geo-blocking restrictions by changing the country you access the internet from, which also gives some great advantages when it comes to streaming. For instance, you can access 15 different Netflix libraries, all with a different selection of movies and TV series, simply by changing your virtual location. And there are many to choose from, as Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in more than 100 countries around the world. I've tried a number of VPNs over the years, and Surfshark remains my favorite one, which is why I will work with no other, and since they sponsor this channel, we naturally have a deal for you. Use our link surfshark.com/midnight or use our code midnight at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN for free. Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk in trying it out at surfshark.com/midnight. With that, before we get into the stakes for Disney and Marvel, let's see what Pedro Pascal actually did that puts them at risk. Pedro Pascal attended the Cannes Film Festival to promote Ari Aster's political satire Eddington, and it was to this end that he let loose what he really felt politically, seemingly forgetting that while he overtly may be addressing the entertainment journalists who reside in the echo chamber right alongside with him, everyone else, including the viewers Disney needs to actually attend Marvel movies, can hear him too, and his words could easily make them less inclined to go see said Marvel movies. To illustrate, let's look at the coverage from the publications that actually cheer on Pascal's brand of activism. The Nightly begins their story, Cannes 2025, Why the Last of Us star Pedro Pascal is blowing up your social feeds, with a film festival as glitzy as Cannes always attracts big stars. But for all the Nicole Kidmans, Tom Cruises, Angelina Jolie's and Scarlett Johansson's, which attendee has been blowing up everyone's social feeds this past weekend? Pedro Pascal. Women and men want him, and women and men want to be him. Pascal is everyone's favorite actor, a generational spanning celebrity whose irreplaceable charisma makes him undeniable. He's a cultural force recognized for his thespian talents, meaning the man can act, as well as his public persona.
Here it comes.
Whether he's the supportive big brother to his sister Lux, a transgender woman, and decrying J.K. Rowling for her anti-trans stance, or playfully cheek-kissing Alexander Skarsgård during a Cannes premiere for the Swedish actor's new film. Here I should mention that there are rumors surrounding Pascal from which one could interpret that kiss may not have been all that playful from his end, but moving on. It was his appearance at the photo call and press conference the next day that really captured everyone's attention. Yeah, let's see what happened there.
I'm gonna lick the stick. I'm gonna lick the stick. Then I'm gonna put it in my butt. Put it in my butt. Put it in my butt.
Remember, this is an echo chamber publication that is pro-activism, even if it ends up destroying the very projects that, at least on paper, should be promoted. After gushing about how attractive Pedro Pascal is, the publication continues. Part of that is his willingness to be political at a time when several actors have clamped up. Maybe humbled by their lack of influence in the 2024 US presidential elections, or maybe because every Hollywood studio is treading lightly in the face of the Trump administration's legal tussles against their parent companies and subsidiaries. Or, and this of course is the correct answer, several actors have clamped up about their politics because the American public voted against those politics at the polls last year. And the moviegoers and TV watchers of the rest of the world have also been voting against the politicization of entertainment at the box office and with their views for several years now. And the results of that are quite unmistakable. Publications like this may make it sound like they're afraid of Trump coming after them, but in reality, the studios are afraid of the audience discarding them, and they're afraid of that with good reason. Trump winning was the ultimate proof of how far out of touch the studios and the stars have been with the public at large, which is further reflected by how even a whiff of activism will cause any major project to tank. This publication, however, celebrates anyone who ignores pesky little things like reality and carry on with their activism, even if people at large find that abhorrent. The write-up continues. Yes, your old-school celebrities such as Jane Fonda and Robert De Niro, the ones who have always been bolshy, will never stay quiet. Bolshi? You mean Bolsheviks? Did they just say the quiet part out loud? That these are commies who won't give up trying to change the world? Points for honesty, I guess. They continue. Pascal, though, he speaks eloquently and compassionately from a place of lived experience. When he addresses trans rights, calling out Rowling for heinous loser behavior after the writer threw her financial support behind an anti-trans legal campaign, wearing a pro-trans Protect the Dolls t-shirt to the premiere of the Marvel movie Thunderbolts. He has a personal connection to the cause. Not that it should be necessary to have that family link, but it's hard to point at Pascal and accuse him of virtue signaling. No, I disagree. That actually makes it all the easier. But moving on. At the Eddington press conference, he was asked about the US government's crackdown on immigration, and he pointed to his own history. Obviously, it's very scary for an actor participating in a movie to sort of speak to issues like this. It's far too intimidating the question for me to really address. I'm not informed enough, he said. This is where he should have stopped, but instead, he weighed in anyway, saying, I want people to be safe and to be protected, and I want very much to live on the right side of history. Side note, people who are very passionate about that very rarely end up doing so. Anyway, he continues, I'm an immigrant. My parents are refugees from Chile. We fled a dictatorship, and I was privileged enough to grow up in the US after asylum in Denmark. If it weren't for that, I don't know what would have happened to us. I stand by those protections. I just got asked, if you were granted asylum in Denmark, how did you end up in the US? Anyway, moving on. And as we're about to see, some actors know when to shut up. The write-up continues. The entire Eddington panel was asked about artistic expression and whether they feared governmental retaliation as a result of their participation in subversive art, and most of them, including Emma Stone, Joaquin Phoenix and Austin Butler, sat in awkward silence, hoping someone else will jump in and take the question. That would be because they're smart enough to know that it's retaliation from the audience, and therefore future employment opportunities that they're afraid of. None of them really think Trump is going to knock their door down, but they're afraid of becoming the next Rachel Zegler and say something stupid that will sink their movie and therefore their career. Pedro Pascal, star of the upcoming Marvel's Fantastic Four, had no such concerns. Pascal started to speak. Fear is the way they win. So keep telling the stories. Keep expressing yourself and keep fighting to be who you are, he said. Fuck the people that try to make you scared and fight back. This is the perfect way to do so in telling stories, and don't let them win. But exactly who is this them? Note that this publication may try to make it sound like everyone is afraid of Trump, and other publications ran with that too. Reuters, for instance, inspired a bunch of other publications to write headlines like Pedro Pascal tells Khan to fight back against US political chaos. But in reality, that's spinning a narrative that some out there would like to see more of. Because in actual reality, it's the audience that Hollywood is afraid of, not Trump. Hollywood wants to move away from the political virtue signaling not because of Trump, but because they have ample data to prove that the politics that they have been pushing for years now is audience repellent. So with that context in mind, who is Pedro telling to fuck off here and to fight back against? His intended recipient may very well have been the current administration, but in reality, it was the audience and the Hollywood studios he just told must not be allowed to win. Because the matter of fact is that they are the ones pushing back against the very messaging and politicization that Pedro Pascal is so fond of. To wit, headlines like this aren't exactly causing the audience to embrace Pedro Pascal, far from it actually, and to Disney and Marvel, that's very bad news. For all the positive news and reviews surrounding Marvel's Thunderbolts, now new Avengers, the movie is actually performing no better than the Eternals. In fact, it's performing even worse. And The Eternals was a movie which damn near everyone hated, and which did tremendous damage to the Marvel brand, even if we were told it saved lives with its inclusion and diversity at the time of its release. That Thunderbolts, despite that by all accounts positive reception, is performing worse than Eternals is a damning indictment on just how damaged the MCU has become. The next MCU movie up is Fantastic Four: First Steps, starring Pedro Pascal, even though the real star is his on-screen wife, because Marvel is female-centric now, don't you know? To wit, the female Silver Surfer, who alone is going to cost the movie a fortune at the box office, regardless of anything else. That's bad, because according to our good friend WDW Pro, the movie is reportedly undergoing very extensive and therefore expensive reshoots right now as we speak, following negative test screening results, which means its financial threshold for success just shot up. And then, after Fantastic Four, there is Avengers Doomsday, which easily could end up being the most expensive movie ever made, and the last chance to create any level of hype for it is the Fantastic Four movie. Because the Fantastic Four isn't just a one-off movie. No, it's the Avengers Doomsday lead-in. If audiences don't see it, or worse yet, don't respond to it, well then the Avengers is in trouble. Meaning there is a lot resting on the shoulders of Fantastic Four: First Steps. It has to make up for years of wall-to-wall disappointment, and unfortunately, audiences will get a fresh reminder of that disappointment just before, with the release of Ironheart on Disney+. Fantastic Four not only has to garner enough goodwill to overcome that, it also has to be able to carry enough of that goodwill that the upcoming Wonder Man, also on Disney+, another subverted production that never should have been made, won't lose too much of the audience along the way. That's a tall order for any movie, and it's the last movie where the male lead should be pulling a Rachel Zegler right about now. And arguably, that is what Pedro Pascal is doing. Will you forgive him and go see Fantastic Four anyway, as a prep for Avengers Doomsday, or does his face being in it make you want to not see it anymore? Let me know in the comments, and before you go, please hit subscribe to stay up to date on these and other entertainment news. And finally, remember to protect your online privacy, so use our link surfshark.com/midnight or our code midnight at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN for free.